Visited the Pinball Hall of Fame in Las Vegas, Nevada recently, and had a chance to play a bunch of old school pinball and stand-up upright arcade games. And heading in and getting a look at the games, I came across one of the great classic games of all time, Punch-Out!, the original Punch-Out! Version by Nintendo. This was the precursor to Mike Tyson's NES version. That came out in 1987. This came out in 1984. Was the #1 game of the year that year. Very popular in arcades. It was very unique. As you can see, there are actually two monitors that you play on. The top monitor had the statistics and the boxers on the screen, and the bottom one was the gameplay. Relatively simple controls. You had a left and right punch button and a joystick for body blows and headshots, and then when your KO meter on the top there, the red arrows filled up, you would have a power punch button that you could throw your haymaker and try to knock your opponent down. First opponent here, of course, was Glass Joe, who would make many appearances in all the variations of Punch-Out!, and pretty easy to defeat him here, and you would knock him out relatively quickly to get started. And there it is, KO'd him, and I was happy about that. Moved on to the second opponent, which was Piston Hurricane, who was the original Piston Honda that you would later see many times. This game would actually loop over, so there was never any ending. If you did defeat the final boss, the game would loop, and you would play it again and start out with Glass Joe again. The opponents would get a little more difficult. I do not even get past Piston Hurricane, as it had been about 35 years since I'd actually played this arcade version. You had 6 fighters: Glass Joe, Piston Hurricane, then you would have Bald Bull, who you would see later, of course, in many of the games, Kid Quick and Pizza Pasta, who was an Italian boxer, and Mr. Sandman was the final boss on this game. Just 6 fighters, and like I said, it would loop around if you did manage to defeat them all. If you got knocked out or you did not finish your opponent off in one round, the game would be over and you'd have to start over. And you see me getting knocked out a few times here, and I mash the keys to try to get up. But Piston Hurricane does finally get me down, and it ends the fight. But it was great to play this game for the first time in many years. It's a classic game, still has great graphics for 1984, and it was a really fun game to play again.